All right, so are you ready to start podcast, Brad?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Oh, welcome back to the Level Cap Podcast, where we will talk about things that aren't related to Nickelodeon cartoons, but more about Level 99 games, board games, segments, or otherwise.
Was that a Nickelodeon or intro reference?
Yeah, that was SpongeBob, I think.
Who lives in a podcast under the sea? Marco.
And Brad,
Okay, yeah, Marco and Brad.
who makes up some segments whenever they feel. Marco and Brad.
Okay. Well, that's good. Maybe we need to come up with a complete song. Maybe one of our fans will write us the complete song.
Write the
If you
lyrics.
Write the complete song. Yeah. Marco and I will sing it, but only if it's good.
Yeah, only if it's good and family friendly. Family friendly show.
Well, that's what I meant. I mean, obviously it can't actually be good because it's a SpongeBob intro parody. But it can be family friendly, which will be good enough for this show.
Well, yeah. To be fair,
That's our only standard. Appropriate for families.
yeah, appropriate for families. Excellent. So, Brad, how are you on this wonderful, wonderful evening in Albuquerque, New Mexico morning? Because it's evening for me, morning for you.
Yeah, so it's a bright sunny morning in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The sky is blue, the trees are green, the desert is yellow. As about you'd expect.
I see.
How are things over there in sunny Philippines where it's midnight?
It's dark. It's black pitch, and I am scared because the dark scares me.
You guys live on an island, right? So you can go to the beach anytime you want.
That's
right?
false. We live on an archipelago.
So everybody has their own beach because everybody has their own island.
Technically,
That's how I understand it. Archipelago is where everyone has their own island, right?
Yeah, technically, it's just a giant mass of islands. I mean, I'm probably 4 or 5 hours away from a nearby beach, but that's still so far, dude. 5 hours to go to the beach.
Oh, terrible. It's going to be a few million years before high tide comes to Albuquerque.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, global warming and all that stuff.
I live quite a long ways from the beach.
How far? How many hours?
I would have to drive across Texas. Or to California. Either one of those is about 12 hours.
Oh,
to get
geez.
to the other coast.
Oh, geez, Brad. Yeah. Okay, that sounds.
But okay, so you're not as close as I had thought.
No. I live in the center. So in the archipelago, I live in the center island, in the center of the island. So I'm the farthest away you can get from a beach.
In the Philippines.
Yeah, in the Philippines. 5 hours is a pretty long time. If I took a plane, it would take 1 hour to go to a beach.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they have the island hoppers.
Yeah.
Just whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
That's what you do in Japan. You just just get on a plane, go to the other island. No big deal.
I see. So, Brad, tell me, is there any news from you? Is there any cool stuff that's happened to you, or maybe Level 99 games?
Yeah, just a few quick things. Trials is shipped out in America. It's shipped out in Canada. European shipping should happen by the time that you're listening to this podcast. So BattleCon Trials is out. Hope you guys are enjoying the new Dodge base and the new characters. We had a lot of fun developing them, and we are now putting our team to work on Wanderers. So if you want to playtest Wanderers with us, look out for that in the next few days.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Millennium Blades, yeah, it's going to be really cool. The Wanderers characters are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited for this expansion. Millennium Blades Professionals is coming out in stores next month. This is the new MIDI expansion. So in October, you'll be able to get this in your local game store and online retailers. Finally, our upcoming Kickstarter, Temporal Odyssey. This is a 2 and 4 player battle card game where you draft your deck as you play. Well, not your deck, but you draft your tableau as you play. So it's kind of a synthesis of two of our favorite genres, drafting and battle card games. So look out for that. Look out for some videos, and look out for the Kickstarter. We should be able to get this game to most corners of the world at a really reasonable price. So it'll be the cheapest Level 99 Kickstarter you've ever participated in.
Wait, even cheaper than Pixel Tactics?
Yeah, it'd probably be, well, Pix Tactics Deluxe, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Cheaper than that.
Wow.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. Wow. Excellent. So
We're trying to get like $20 to $25 shipped anywhere in the world.
oh wow, it's a pretty small game then, right?
It's not. I mean, it's bigger than Pixel Tactics.
Okay, but not as big as
It's it's got like 3 times as many cards as Pixel Tactics.
but not as big as like BattleCon, right?
Yeah, no, it's not going to be the size of BattleCon. It's a smaller box.
That's pretty good.
But yeah,
It's pretty good.
but yeah, that's what we're working on. We'll see what we can do.
All right. Ask me what I've been doing. Do it, please.
All right, what news do you have, Marco?
It's okay. I have done 3 things, 2 of which are productive, 1 of which is not. First productive thing, I've been able to release some questionable commercials.
for the contests that are up now.
For the Argent contest, I've also released the contest rules on the blog. That's the second productive thing. The third productive thing is I've been spending a lot of time watching this YouTube channel called Tier Zoo. It is the best YouTube channel I've seen so far. So Brad, here's what it is. A guy who may or may not be a biologist talks about animals like you would see in like History Channel or like National Geographic or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
But he talks about animals as if they were builds in an MMO game. So he goes like,
That's pretty fun. That's pretty cool.
it's the best. He goes like, the cheetah is a pretty good build. It's pretty popular on the Africa servers. And the main problem with the cheetah is that it has too much of a high base movement speed, but not enough armor. So it tends to lose out against lions who spec more into attack and can hunt in packs. So the group hunting perk makes the lions way more viable than cheetahs. Cheetahs are F tier. I'm like, what the heck is this?
That's great. That's really great. Your family owns a zoo, right?
Yeah. My dad dabbles into animals, so it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Sadly.
Well, yeah, that sounds fun. How do you spell this?
Tier zoo, like tier list and then zoo.
Oh, tier, Tier.
Yeah, he tiers animals. He talks about like, is this viable? Like, for example, optimizing your snake build, and he talks about 3 different snake builds that are optimal because all other snake builds are C tier.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a really neat way to approach it too. Oh man, that's fun. That's fun.
It's fun. You know what else is fun, Brad? You know what else is fun?
Dead Cells?
Exactly. Welcome to our Game Club game for this week, and it's Dead Cells. Brad, tell us, what is Dead Cells all about? Give us the elevator pitch for Dead Cells.
Okay, so I'm going to try and talk about Dead Cells without putting it in terms of any other games.
Are you sure? Because it's the
yeah, it's the Dark Souls of Castlevanias of, you know, but anyway, no, it's let's that's the real challenge for this game, is to talk about it without talking about it in terms of the other games that it stands on the shoulders of.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, you could just say it's the 2D Dark Souls of Castlevania Metroids, and that would be accurate, but that's like four other things you have to know to understand it.
Yep, that's true.
This is a adventure platforming game that is every time you play, you get random gear.
Roguelite.
The castle changes randomly.
It's a roguelite.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's a Dark Souls Castlevania roguelike.
No, Brad.
Anyway,
roguelike is an actual genre of games, though. It's not just referencing rogue. So, like, you can use it to describe.
Well, it is, actually.
It's not just. Like, when I say roguelike, it's not just say, this game is like rogue. Like, it's actually a term that people use to define a genre now, so...
Alright. So this game is a horrible amalgamation of all the things that you love from all the great games in history, all mashed together into one package. But yeah, it's you get gear, you run through the castle. The castle changes a little bit each time, but there's certain forms that stay in place. It's got some cool speedrunning elements to it. Like, as you kill monsters, guy starts to run faster, and if you get through areas quick enough, there are doors full of treasure that you can access. There are bosses that you'll fight. You'll get upgrades, and when you get the upgrades, even if you die, they stay with you. Some of the upgrades are used to unlock new areas of the castle.
Yep.
So once you go down this path far enough, you get an upgrade. You can now access a secondary path through the castle. And that, changes your, the options that you have going forward quite a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This is really good. I've played a lot of Dead Cells.
How many hours
this week? I'm probably I don't know, probably 10 to 12 hours.
Well, not bad.
Which is a lot.
That's pretty much
time.
That's pretty much.
I don't. Yeah, I only have an hour or two for gaming every night, so 2 hours is most of my 2 hours a night is most of my game time. But yeah, I've lost a bit of sleep staying up playing Dead Cells.
It's such a good game. I think the biggest.
It's such a good game.
Yeah, the biggest draw for me in this game is just how many weapons there are. Right, for a Metroidvania-esque game, you have all of these different weapon types that do all of these different things. So one of the biggest things about this game is not just the combat proficiency, because it's a pretty good platformer game with combat that makes you feel good for knowing enemy patterns, dodging, parrying, and all that stuff. Well, there's that, but there's also getting all this random loot. So it kind of feels a little bit like Diablo sometimes, where you pick up this gear, pick up that gear, pick up this gear, and then suddenly your gears combo into each other, and it's so awesome.
Yeah, and the game kind of, I think you, like you said, the game kind of fudges the combos. Where if you have an ice bomb, you'll find a lot of things that combo with ice. If you have a fire bomb or an oil sword, you'll find a lot of things that combo with fire.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's so the game kind of helps you make these builds. The thing that I like the most about this game, though, is that just about every weapon and every active skill you can get is viable. There are what's the word? There's no weapon you look at and you're I just don't like that one. They all are good against certain kinds of enemies, and they all have their real uses, and it's really well done in that sense. There are no duds. And even if you do find something that just doesn't fit into your build, you can just recycle it and get some money back for it. So there's always something to do. The game gives you a lot of important decisions. You find a scroll and you can level up one of your 3 stats, and each of these 3 stats are very important.
Yeah.
And so it's real. The choices that they give you are real clear, and they're real important, and they can be made really quickly. So that idea, especially we talk about in board games, of making the player choices very high impact and also very clean, that is done really well in this game. And I think that's one of the most enjoyable aspects, because you see something, you immediately know what you're going to do, how you're going to integrate it in your strategy, and then you move on to the next challenge. Yeah,
and a lot of the combos and a lot of the strategies you can take aren't hard baked into the game. I mean, I'm sure the developers probably found them, but you don't pick up a weapon that says you must use this with this other weapon. It's you kind of just figure out for a certain flow.
They're all self-contained.
Yeah, they're all self-contained weapons. It's pretty great. Speaking of weapons, Brad, let's just let's talk about what your favorite weapon / skill is.
So my favorite weapon in the game is probably right now the grenade.
The classic grenade.
So the grenade, it feels kind of weak. It's a short cooldown, just does 100 damage, whatever. But if you get your active skill level up to 7 or 8, and you just you're carrying 2 grenades, you just toss 2, you just run up to somebody, toss 2 grenades, and they die instantly. Everything in the area dies instantly. And then they're immediately recharged, because you're every time you raise your skill level, your damage goes up and your recharge goes down.
Yeah.
So it's just really good. I think. What about you, Marco? What do you use?
So my favorite thing in the game is a weapon. Well, I'm not even sure if it classifies as a weapon in reality, but it's the kick. The kick.
Oh, the Spartan boot.
The Spartan boot, exactly. So the Spartan boot is a weapon this time that when you activate it, your character does this like 300 Spartan kick, where he goes like, "This is Dead Cells," and then he kicks the guy and it deals like a considerable amount of damage. So it has one of the lowest DPS in the game for a weapon, right? Especially for a melee weapon, because most melee weapons have like 2,000 plus DPS by the moment they're like rank 4 or something. The kick will not deal a lot of damage, but what's really good about the kick is that it interrupts enemy animations. So my playstyle is very offense oriented, and I don't really burst people down much. Like I tend to use like slow weapons like the great swords and all that stuff. So the kick's really good because when I see enemies doing their like attacks that scare me, I just like interrupt them with a kick and then hit them with a great sword. It always feels great whenever you do it. Great sword. But yeah, it's a very interesting paradigm to me because it's an offensive defensive mechanic. You know what I mean? Like parrying is like super defensive, but like just interrupting spells is pretty fun. I love it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you could certainly play this game a lot of ways. And whether you're going to be like Marcos, where you run up to them, kick them, or you're going to be like mine, where you stand on a platform, 2 stories above, and you just drop a bomb down and kill everyone. Like you can play it a lot of ways. Something I want to point out in this game from a game design standpoint, that is really good that a lot of games don't do is what you were saying earlier with the weapons, the weapon content. When you see a weapon on the ground, you immediately know what it does. And because it's scaled to your level, you don't have to really compare it. And contrast that with a game like, say, like Neo or Borderlands or Diablo, where you pick up a gear, you got to open your menu, you've got to compare 8 or 9 different stats together to see which one actually fits together with your build.
Yeah, that's true.
You never have to do that in Dead Cells. Like, if you see a weapon, you immediately know whether you want it or not based on what it is.
Yeah, that's pretty
and
true.
That, I think, is... Yeah, that really makes the game flow, and it's really enjoyable to play in a way that those other games I mentioned stop and interrupt your gameplay with loot. Dead Cells seamlessly integrates the loot into the experience, and it makes the loot system in that game much better than any of those other games.
Yeah, that's true. So, Brad, would you recommend people get Dead Cells?
Absolutely. I know we talked about Absolver last week. This feels more finished than Absolver does to me, even though it's still in early access.
Exactly.
I hate to say that, but they don't have any server issues in Dead Cells because there's no server. So it feels totally finished, almost. It can only get better at this point.
Only get better.
What about you, Marco? I assume you're recommending as well?
Yeah, I recommended this game to you months and months ago. It's been the highlight of my Steam library. I have 30 hours in it. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, like, I'm bad at it. Like, I still think I haven't beaten the boss at the end. So, yeah.
Oh, how far does the castle go?
I think you fight.
I got to the second boss, the Watcher, and that's as far as I've gotten.
Who's the Watcher again? Is he the giant eye man?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the Watcher currently is where it ends.
Okay.
Yeah, unless I haven't found the secrets, because there's a bunch of secret areas. It's a Metroidvania game, okay? So it's like I possibly could have missed some secret hidden bosses. But all I know is the Watcher's the end, quote-unquote, end boss. For now, they're planning to add more. He's pretty hard to beat if you don't have the right build. And also because the kicks don't work on him.
I see.
All right. So that pretty much does it for our Game Club game of this week. If you guys want us to talk about another game for Game Club, please tell us in the comment section down below, and we will get that game to you immediately as soon as we can. So maybe not so immediately. But let's move on to our Character of the Week segment, where we talk about a character from one of our games. Brad, our Character of the Week this week is...
Baenvier Marlgrove, the cover character for BattleCon Fate. Anyway, so Baenvier is Lord Rexon's elite royal guard. So in the time before the Overlord's resurrection, he was the captain of the city guard for Ribara, which is kind of the capital of Gesselheim.
Okay.
So he is a Vom, so he's the same race as like Demetrius. He is immune to magic, like everyone else in his race, and he's pretty tough. Like he's a lot stronger than ordinary humans. Whereas Demetrius is like really fast. Baenvier is more of a typical Vom build, which is characters that are quite strong, that can regenerate really rapidly from any kind of wound, that are immune to magic, and that use cursed armor and weapons because they are immune to the curses on these gears.
Would you say that Baenvier is A tier?
I suppose. I feel like he's pretty strong.
I see.
But you can tell us about that during the mechanics section, I guess.
No, I was making a joke about like Tierzu talking about races via.
Oh, I suppose. I guess. Yeah, Vom maybe. I don't know. Not being able to use magic is a pretty big downside
In a world where everyone can use magic, right?
Yeah. In this magical world. I mean, there's upsides too, but like, if you're a Vom and you like get your arm cut off or something, like you can't get divine healing. You have to eat raw meat to regenerate. So that's kind of how that works. By eating raw meat, they can regenerate flesh and blood.
That's interesting. So let me ask you something. Is that Vom seem to be heavily inspired by vampires, right?
Yeah. It is a vampire. It's the vampire race for Indians. So there you go.
I see.
But I wanted to make it more like like an actual race and not a condition that's inflicted on people. So
okay, so it is an actual race, and again, they don't have souls because they're not human, right?
Right.
Yeah. So tell us more about Baenvier. What's his place in the story? What does he do in Fate of Indians?
So in Fate, Baenvier receives one of the vault keys, which are the MacGuffins that everyone's trying to get.
I love how we just call them MacGuffin.
Access the Underlands. Yeah, pretty much. So he finds one of these keys. He talks to Rexa, and he's like, "Hey, we want to go and figure out what all these cool vault secrets are for the glory of Gesselheim." Overlord Rexon's like, "Okay, cool, you do that," and so they go on a quest. That is kind of Baenvier's setup plot. How he gets involved with the other characters in Fate and what they do with these vault keys. That's brought out in the story of Trials and Wanderers, which will be next year's BattleCon release.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, Baenvier's kind of unique thing is that he has this cool sword called Spellbreaker that can drain away people's ability to use magic. So once he hits you with the sword, he takes away your magic too.
Oh.
And anybody who carries the sword can't use magic. Which of course is not a problem for Baenvier because he can't use magic anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. Even if he wasn't a Vom.
Yeah, and the armor he wears is also like a cursed, indestructible armor that can never be taken off. But of course, he's immune to the curse, so he can take it off at will.
Oh, okay.
It's just indestructible. Like that's kind of how cursed stuff works in Indians. Like they're really powerful items, but they have these terrible curses attached.
So what is this?
And if you're immune to magic, then you get the cool properties without the terrible curses.
I remember he has a cape. What does the cape do?
The cape is just a cape.
Oh, really? Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't let him fly.
Oh, sad. I thought it was like some cloak of invisibility, like some Harry Potter.
No, nothing like that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Tell us a bit more about Baenvier, like as a personal being. Like, does he like cold showers?
He is married to his wife Rollin. He has a daughter, Ursula, who goes to school in the Keep town. His favorite weapon is actually a war pick, but the Spellbreaker sword's so strong that he can't afford to not use it. So he doesn't use his favorite weapon.
Sad. That's sad.
Yeah. His middle name is Chester.
Chester. He gets teased about that a lot, I guess.
He never uses that.
I see.
And he's really he doesn't like he's really opposed to magic in general. Like he just doesn't like magic, and especially divine magic.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and so a lot of his persona is like, face me hand to hand, that kind of a challenge. Like he's a very martial type of character.
He's all about them honorable combats.
Yeah, but he wouldn't get along too well with Eligor because Eligor is a Templar and uses divine magic. So there may be some kind of rivalry there if they ever meet.
Because technically, Baenvier's technically just a Dark Templar, right? That's essentially what he is.
Kind of. I mean, he doesn't actually have dark magic. He's like an Iron Templar. He's totally neutral.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. He's an Iron Templar.
He just happens to have, these cursed magic weapons.
All right.
So, but he can't do dark force lightning or anything.
All right. Yes, give in to your hate. No, but okay, one last question before we move on to mechanics. One last question before we move on to mechanics. They're immune to magic, but are they immune? How are they immune to magic exactly? Like, I'm sure they're impervious to some of the effects of magic, like maybe divinity or mysticism. But like when somebody just shoots a fireball at them, does it just not work?
Yeah. So like a fireball spell, you create a fireball and then you throw the fireball at somebody. So at that point, it's ordinary fire. But a thing like like a lot of the mystics have curses, or like Eric's illusion magic, or for example, like Caitlyn's ability to bend space. You can walk through most of that stuff.
I see.
And be okay.
Okay.
So it's more like once magic changes the world, then you're subject to the things that happen in the world, but you're not subject to magic itself. So you couldn't be polymorphed or soul drained or anything like that. Like Hepzibah's life steals wouldn't work on Baenvier.
I see.
Well, maybe they would, because that's a different kind of magic.
It's Vivimancy. We'll think about that.
Yeah, Vivimancy's not a normal kind of magic.
Yeah,
that exists in Indians.
If I remember correctly, you said it's a magic that exists outside of Indians that was brought into Indians. So
yeah, it's from another world. So he might not be immune to that in the same way.
Oh, we'll see. But
yeah,
taking this as an opportunity, let's talk a little bit about mechanics. So Baenvier is kind of like a super, he's a lightning bruiser. I think that's what I would call him. So he generally has all of these attacks that seemingly have improbably high stats. He has so much good stats on his attacks, but he pays for it by being a bit awkward. So he has some awkward ranges. Some of his effects will totally backfire on him if he misses an attack. I think Cursed is one of the most powerful styles you can ever have in the game, but if you totally mess up with it, you eat extra 4 damage during the turn, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, so it's atrociously strong, but the downside of missing it is atrociously horrible as well. So Baenvier is a very powerful character. A lot of his unique ability revolves around his Spell Eater tokens. So he gets 3, kind of like Cadenza, and he can never regain them. But what he does is that when he antis his Spell Eater, he can force both players to ignore their styles. So it's kind of like being a Vom, right? So you're immune to magic, your opponent can't use magic. So that's kind of what Baenvier does when he does the...
No, that's the idea, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just at the mercy of your bases, and Baenvier has a really killer, unique base.
Spire.
That pretty much, if you're in range for it, if you're in range for Spire, nothing in the game is going to beat that.
Yeah. So Baenvier usually wants to use his Spell Eaters to, get rid of powerful attacks. Like if you see a Clockwork coming, you just haha, Clockwork? You mean shot, right? It's just a shot. So Baenvier, I lovingly call Baenvier Rock, Paper, Scissors, Lizard, Spock. Because essentially that's what he turns the game into whenever he antis one of his Spell Eaters. So it's pretty funny. It's pretty cool. If you like a character that denies opponents their bonuses while also feeling like you're a powerful juggernaut powerhouse, Baenvier's your guy. And the good thing is he's not tournament banned, unlike a certain illusionist.
Yeah. I think one of the really cool things about him is that you have to think about the game twice now. Because with ordinary characters, you have to think about your style-based interactions. With Baenvier, you have to think about your style-based interactions and your base-based interactions, because at any time, he might drop the style game and say, now we're playing this other game instead.
Yeah.
And then you have to play his game, and that can be a really dangerous proposition if you're at the wrong ranges, or if you have the wrong bases down in your discard pile.
Yeah, and I think Baenvier is just that kind of character where most of his power actually comes from the threat of his unique ability rather than him actually using it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's very much like
absolutely.
Cherry in that sense, right? So, yeah, if you like that kind of character, if you like Cherry but wish Cherry had more swords and muscles, I guess, you could play Baenvier. And that's kind of how...
But yeah, I think it's true. They're both intimidation type characters,
Yeah.
where you're trying to say like, look at this thing I could do, and then you got to play around this. So yeah. They're similar in that respect. Absolutely.
All right. So that pretty much does it for our character of the week, where we talked about Baenvier Malgrove. Marlgrove?
Marlgrove. Marlgrove is the forest in his town, where he is from. It's the Dryad Forest in Gesselheim.
All right.
So he lived near the forest, so he's named Baenvier Marlgrove.
I see. Okay. So if you guys want us to talk about the specific character of the week, we will do it if and only if you tell us in the comment section down below or tweet at us at Level99Games. So, Brad, are you ready for the next segment, which is our 99 questions segment?
Yeah. Hit me with the cues.
Yeah, I'll hit you with the cues, Brad. In the 99 questions segment, where we will pick up some questions, in this episode, we will answer 3. Ooh.
Fewer than last week. You said they were going to keep going up.
Oh.
What happened, Marco?
I'm zagging on you. I am keeping it unpredictable. Who knows? Maybe next week it becomes 6. And then you will regret, Brad. And then you will regret.
Questioning intensifies.
Yes. Okay. How about this one? So this is a very interesting week because a lot of rules questions popped up. Number 1, Brad. What happens when we try to compare to not applicable? Certain effects will force me to choose or compare a stat to another stat, but sometimes that other stat is not applicable. For example, Murgerum compares whether her power is greater than or less than the opponent's. What if the opponent's power is not applicable? What happens then?
If you have to do a number compare to not applicable, it counts as 0.
All right. But, okay. Just to be clear to everybody who's listening, it counts as 0. Okay? Because there's a special...
Only for the purposes of the number compare.
Yeah, because some people got confused because they were like, wait, but when I add the number to NA, it becomes NA. It's not 0.
Yeah. No, it counts as 0. So, like, if you had a 1 on one side and an NA on the other side, and you did number compare, it's 0.
All right. That's good to know. How about this next question, Brad? Are you up for it?
Yep.
All right. So this one...
I'm down for it.
Oh, snap. This one isn't necessarily rules related, but it is kind of rules related. You talked about having a Indian's World RPG that you played with your friends, which resulted in characters such as Hikaru, Kadath, and Voko. Was it a rule system of your own design, or did you use another system?
It was a rule system of my own design, and we worked on it for a few years, and then D&D 4th edition came out, and 4th edition was too close to this rule system. So I ended up dropping the project in light of the advent of D&D 4th edition, which turned out to not be very popular anyway, so maybe if we did it, it would be more popular. But I think nowadays I probably have to rework it a bit, because it's, it would be too similar to a thing that already exists.
All right. That makes sense. And I like that quick and concise answer, because we're going to move to the final question, Brad. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. This is a design question. Do you think of BattleCon and Exceed more as board card games or as fighting games in a board card game medium? And how much do you consider the other perspective?
I think of them as I'd say I don't think of them either way, I guess. I mean, it depends on what the needs of the moment are. When you're designing characters, you think of it as more a fighting game in a card medium because you're looking for inspiration. But when you're thinking about production, you're thinking about it purely as a board card game. And I have to wear both of those hats. So I guess I'd say I think about it in both ways at the appropriate time.
All right.
As for so that's I guess that's the whole answer.
Also known as the coward's answer. Just kidding.
What? It's an honest answer.
Such a fence sitter, Brad. Such a fence sitter.
Oh my gosh. All
right. And that pretty much does it for our 99 questions segment, where we answered 3 questions this week. So, viewers, please give us a running count of how many questions we've answered so far, because I need to know when I can reset the podcast. Because at that point, that's where I get to make drastic changes to our logos.
You just do this for the resets, don't you, Marco?
Yeah, I live for the resets. Hey, kid, you want some resets?
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's
All right. And finally,
all right.
We will move on to our last
new final segment
and best segment, The Pitch, where every week I will give Brad a new segment and try to convince him that it's good enough to be a recurring one.
All right. And I got one for you this week, too.
Oh,
so
I'm so shocked.
So watch out.
All right.
Do you want me to go first? Do you want to go first?
Okay. You go first because this is your first time doing a pitch.
Okay. All right, cool. So, all right. So, Marco, this is something we already do on this show. I say we make it official.
All right.
It's called the new segment is called Dark Soulsified. I choose a medium, and you describe to me back the Dark Souls adaptation to that medium. So I say, Marco, tell me about the Dark Souls of breakfast cereals.
Okay, so the Dark Souls,
and then
okay then.
So and then you would come up with the adaptation. Like what is the Dark Souls of breakfast cereals?
So the Dark Souls of breakfast,
and then you can throw one at me.
Okay. Then we do it. So you want to do like a pilot test of this segment idea of yours?
If you feel like it, if you want to.
Sure, I'll do it.
It'd be a short 5-minute thing. But yeah, okay. So tell me about the Dark Souls of breakfast cereals.
The Dark Souls of breakfast cereals is made with rocks. Okay, like 98% of it is rocks, but the 2% is sweet marshmallow filled with chocolate. Right. So every time you take a bite of it, it makes you feel horrible and annoyed. But there's that 2% of amazing marshmallowy goodness inside. So you persist and you eventually get there. But the moment you get to that marshmallow, your teeth have all fallen out because it has beaten your spirit.
I see. Do you ever get it? Does your mouth get a respawn at some point?
Yeah, it's called getting dentures.
If you get dentures and then you go back to the neck and you get the marshmallow that you missed the first time, does your your teeth all come back?
Yeah, your teeth all come back. You can also up your stats. I think like you can get special forks. So I think sporks would be top tier in this meta.
All right. Well, why don't you hit me with your segment, Mark? What's the pitch for this week?
Okay. My pitch for this week, Brad, are you ready? It's called Component Opponents. Every week, I will posit to you 2 components to board games, and we will take sides of who would win in a fight.
Do we always have to take the opposite side?
Not necessarily. We would just debate who would win.
Okay.
So for this week...
give me some examples.
For this week, I decided markers versus spinners, like dials. So who would win in a fight, a marker or a dial?
This is really hard, but not for philosophical reasons.
How would this fight? No,
I think the spinner is bigger and has more moving parts, so it could easily defeat the marker in a one-on-one throwdown.
I think the marker would win because it has less moving parts, right? Therefore, if the marker and the spinner were to clash in Mortal Kombat, it would be more likely that the spinner would cease functioning and therefore lose. Because the only way for a marker to cease functioning is to be broken in half.
I suppose so. But what if the competition is not like a death match? What if it's like a foot race or something? See?
Okay.
The moving parts are your advantage.
I'm
just saying. Thinking about this too one-dimensionally.
I see.
What if it's like a triathlon where we roll across the table and then we punch each other and then we like fly to the moon?
That's true.
Which component would win then?
Wait, can my marker be round-shaped?
No. Tokens are round-shaped. Markers are square.
Dang
Everyone
it.
knows that.
Okay. So I think if it were a contest of durability and tankiness, markers would win. But if it's a contest of agility and speed, I think dials would win.
Well, there you have it. Component opponent.
Component of... So, listeners, we have presented to you two amazing news segments. The Dark Souls fight and component opponents. You tell us which is good enough to be a recurring segment. And that pretty much does it for this.
Or neither. It's okay to say neither. Please say neither.
Yeah, it's okay to say both, too. Maybe they're both good enough.
No, please don't say both.
Why not? I like Dark Souls.
Say it's Marco's fault instead.
Oh my gosh. And that pretty much does it for the pitch, where I threw something and Brad caught it. Did you catch it, Brad, or did you just let it pass?
Well, who knows? You be the judge, listener.
You be the judge. And that pretty much does it for this episode of the Level Cap Podcast. I hope all of you had a fun time listening. And again, if you don't have a fun time listening but still continue to listen to us, thank you very much. I do hope you find something else that will make you enjoy this podcast. Maybe this new pitch, the new pitches. Maybe you like the new pitches. Tell us in the comments.
I mean, if you're still listening at this point and you didn't like the podcast, everyone who's listening at this point likes the podcast. Don't even entertain the thought.
Are you
Marco.
sure though? Maybe after those pitches they gave up.
Well, look, all the segments are gone. So the only reason to keep listening is because you actually like it, because there's no new content coming out. So all the content has been distributed. Everybody who's listening to these last 3 minutes of trailing rambling that we do, they must like it, because that's the only reason to still be here.
All right.
I mean, if you're listening to this and you don't just like to hear us talk, then you should turn it off now, because there's no new content that's going to be presented.
Okay, now that all of the scrubs are gone, welcome to the news segment, the VIP Lounge, where we divulge secret information only to the most diehard of fans.
Oh my goodness. This would have been a great place to say Baenvier's middle name is Chester.
Yes. It is.
Maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's what we action. That's the good segment. Is the VIP lounge, where we put some random trinket or tidbit that nobody would necessarily know or care about except the most diehard fans.
Oh, that.
It's like the secret trailer at the end of the Marvel movies.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay, so if you're one of our diehard fans who has listened all throughout the end, I want you to put in the comments section below "Shrimp Heaven now." Okay. Put that and we'll know. You'll be in the know.
Is that some kind of Yakuza code word?
No, it's actually a Manchurian candidate activation, I guess. I've activated all of my sleeper agents. You didn't know.
Oh my gosh. All right. We'll see you next time for more Level Cap Podcast.
As usual, it's been me.
Hope you guys have a great week.
As usual, it's been me, your host, Marco DeSantos, also known as Mechanic Critic, and with me has been my awesome co-host,
Brad Talbot. And y'all have a great week and happy gaming.
Happy gaming!